Mr. President, I'd like to move an amendment, and that would read, "This House condemns the violence both inside and outside the church." And I'll speak to my amendment. And the reason I'm moving this amendment is because I accept the sentiments of the mover, and indeed the speakers so far have made it very clear that the violence that took place outside the church was horrific. We know this.
You may continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think it's important to understand this, that whilst I accept and we all were horrified by the experience that we saw from the paramedics and the police, and I think it was something in the order of 50 cars were damaged outside of the church. There's no question that type of violence is completely unacceptable, but it's important to note that there was violence and destruction that took place inside, and that 2 members of the clergy were viciously attacked. And it's important that any motion that's moved in this House acknowledges that there was violence that took place inside that church. And that type of violence is utterly unacceptable. And what most people are horrified by is the fact that a bishop was in fact stabbed and a priest stabbed. And anywhere else, can I say this? It horrifies me, and if this was my church, I would be horrified. And I can understand and appreciate how upset some of the parishioners were, and how members of the community may have overreacted in the way they behaved outside the church. However, it's important that if we're going to move a motion, like what's being presented here by the Honourable Mark Buttigieg, it's important to acknowledge that there was violence inside that church first. And in fact, let's be honest, if the violence didn't take place in that church, I don't think you would have seen any violence outside the church either. This is their bishop. As somebody who is a practising Christian of my own faith, I would have been horrified myself if this happened to my bishop in my church, and I can understand that people were vehemently distraught and probably experiencing a whole plethora of mental health issues on that night when they saw somebody that they seek guidance from being attacked. So I ask the government to please accept my amendment. I agree with the rest of the motion, and hopefully they can agree with my amendment.